Welcome back to New Rockstars. Now that Doctor Strange is not going to be in Avengers Doomsday, but could appear in a third Doctor Strange film, Doctor Strange Time Runs Out, in between Doomsday and Secret Wars, what do we now know about the future of the Marvel slate across 2026, 2027, and 2028? When will we see Blade, Shang Chi-2, Thor 5, and maybe even a Marvel Studios X-Men film? Well, we are going to break down and fill out the entire Marvel Studios slate over the next 3 years here on The Sneak Peek.
This is The Sneak Peek, where we talk about the future of fandom. We bring it to you, me, Jessica Clemons, and my other co-host, Erik Voss.
Your other co-host?
Some other guy over here. I don't know.
Dope.
I don't know what this man is. God, look at this dunce.
Throw him out.
Throw him out.
It's great to have you back.
I know.
Is this your first sneak peek of 2025?
It has been. It is, and it's almost literally February.
It's really great to have you back. As you all know, it's been a chaotic couple weeks here in Los Angeles, California. All kinds of insanity has happened. Not only was the city, and still is, on fire, we've been dealing with all kinds of illnesses here. I've been feeling under the weather. My son's been under the weather. My wife's under the weather. You've been under the weather. It's just been hard.
Yeah, now I'm on top of the weather. I'm riding those clouds. I'm not dead, but
what we're saying is Jessica's been cast as Storm in the MCU. You can go home, Io, Cynthia. None of you are in the mix anymore.
I don't think Cynthia was ever on the list. I think Cynthia forced herself into the narrative, which sometimes that's what you gotta do in Hollywood. If you want that role, you got to put it out there into the ether, and then maybe it'll come to
That's
you.
what Simu Liu did. He tweeted,
Did he?
Marvel cast me as Shang-Chi, and
No,
then
he
they
didn't.
found him. Yeah,
No,
he
he
did.
didn't. Did
Yeah,
he?
he did. He was like a stunt actor and other stuff. And then like back in 2014 or something like that, he tweeted, come on, Marvel, you know where to find me. And they did. They found him, and they
That's
cast
so
him.
interesting. Someone needs to make a compilation of all the times actors have done that and have ended up getting, well, technically, what was his name? Barry Keoghan doing the Joker.
What?
Remember when Barry Keoghan did the Joker bit and sent it to that man, and he was coming out of the elevator being weird? He sent that video to the director and was like, you should cast me.
I didn't know that story.
I don't think it was the Joker. I think he was doing the Riddler bit, but he was coming out of an elevator. The camera like moves. Please look it up.
See, what I thought you were saying is that
disgusting.
Barry Keoghan was I'm the Joker, baby.
I'm the Joker, baby.
I don't think that was him.
No, that was it.
We know Iman Vellani definitely cosplayed as
we did.
as Ms. Marvel.
That's so sweet. That's so sweet for those people. Oh
They
my god.
did put it out in the world.
And
then
I
their
mean,
dreams came
Ariana
true.
Grande did do that with Glenda. She was like
Oh, that's right.
constantly
Yeah,
being
yeah.
like, she even did a song, a remix version of Popular.
Yeah. And then what was the name of the actress who was like, I'm Catwoman? And remember in the early 90s, and she's like, I'm Catwoman. And they're like, no, you're not. She's like, I'm Catwoman. And they didn't cast her as Catwoman.
Damn. Yeah, sometimes 9 times out of 10 it doesn't work.
No. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about every confirmed release date that we know of so far. And we think at this point, Marvel will stick to the dates that they have said. The only exception is maybe Secret Wars gets delayed. But I think the next 4 titles, they're going to come out when they said. So first off, coming next week or 2 weeks from now, February 14th, 2025, Captain America Brave New World. Following that, and we're only talking about movies here, May 5th, 2025, Thunderbolts **, followed by July 25th, 2025, Fantastic Four First Steps. And then we have Avengers Doomsday on May 1st, 2026. But there is a date of February 13th, 2026 that Marvel has currently reserved, and nothing has been attached to it yet. So that's our first unknown that we have to fill. July 24th, 2026, Spider-Man 4. That they're currently working on the script for that. And then November 6th, 2026, another unknown date. It could be a lot of different things. And then May 7th, 2027, that's Avengers Secret Wars. That could get delayed. There may also be a February 2027 date. Generally, that February window is also something they reserve. So we could also look at, I'm going to just put that on this list. And then July 23rd, 2027, unknown Marvel title. And then November 2027, unknown Marvel title. And then we're really looking into the future here. This is just based off of like Disney releasing these to press. Disney/Marvel has reserved the date of February 18th, 2028, May 5th, 2028, and November 10th, 2028. So tentatively,
God.
they're saying they could release up to 3 movies per year. They may only hit 2.
Yeah.
But we have to imagine that there's going to be another Marvel movie in 2026. At least one other Marvel movie. And I think they're going to at least aim for 2 per year. Now, here are the options to fill these dates. We have Doctor Strange 3 that, Benedict Cumberbatch just confirmed again in this interview this week is in development. And go watch Jessica's video breaking down everything we learned from that article. Really great video. In the past, people have talked about maybe Sam Raimi could return to direct this film. People are thinking it could be an adaptation of the Time Runs Out storyline from Jonathan Hickman, if this is going to connect to Doomsday and Secret Wars. Next option, Blade. Blade is still in development. Mahershala Ali has said, he's optimistic about it, but it's gone through several different writers, several different directors, and we don't really know what its status is. Shang Chi-2, we know is in development, and that Destin Daniel Cretton is returning to direct. Originally, Cretton was attached to Avengers 5, the Kang Dynasty, but then left that project as it was getting retooled and is now directing Spider-Man 4. Another option, Black Panther 3, that we know, according to Denzel Washington, is in development. Ryan Coogler is returning to write and direct, and Nate Moore is, despite leaving Marvel Studios, is returning to do executive produce this film. We also have heard that Deadpool and Wolverine might get a follow-up film. It was $1 billion movie. That we might get a Scarlet Witch movie. We might get a Thor 5 movie. At some point, Marvel Studios is probably going to announce an X-Men film. And then at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, it said Star-Lord will return. So that could be another Guardians of the Galaxy spinoff or a Star-Lord spinoff, something on the Marvel cosmic side. Or does that mean that he's just going to return in Doomsday or Secret Wars? All right, so that's a lot.
Yeah, because they were also very... that language of Star-Lord will return. They never said the rest of the Guardians.
Yeah, and then what was left of the Guardians is that whole lineup that had, Kraglin, it had Rocket, it had the new Alpha ones. Groot, it had Adam Warlock, and it kind of had a new lineup that was like the Guardians of the Galaxy. That might be the last time we see that era of the Guardians of the Galaxy, 100%. But Star-Lord could still return. And I think Nebula is probably done too, right? Yeah,
Nebula, Drax, and Zoe Saldana.
Yeah, or
Gamora.
Yep.
Gamora.
But I think a lot of these characters could return in other titles, like a Thor movie or something like that.
100%.
Now, in terms of the TV shows, we're not really going to talk about them in this episode. We'll probably do another episode about those. But we know Daredevil Born Again is coming in a couple weeks or a few weeks. We have Ironheart coming in June of 2025. We have Wonder Man coming in December 2025. And beyond that, we don't really know. We think in 2026 we might get a Nova series finally, there's a bunch of animated Marvel titles as well. We could get we know we're gonna have Vision Quest probably in 2026, so Nova and Vision Quest is where I see the 2026 Marvel television titles going. We're gonna have a new season of X-Men 97 at some point, but that's where things are right now. So let's start by looking at this February 2026 date. So this is going to be the first thing after Fantastic Four First Steps, and then whatever releases 3 months before Avengers Doomsday.
Before Avengers Doomsday. And this has to be, we're saying this is something that has to be theatrical, not just straight to Disney Plus.
What would be a Marvel movie? What's far enough along or could be shot fast enough?
Yeah, it has to be shot fast enough. It has to be shooting right now.
Right.
Which is only Blade for me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Blade.
It's the only... And I could see, and the thing is, they might not be anywhere near close to finishing Blade, but they could still have this date reserved for Blade. They maybe push Blade to this date, and they're just gonna push the date again. There is no way from. We're only getting updates from Mahershala, so I don't know how far along in Blade we are, but that I suspect it would be Blade before it would be Shang-Chi or what was the other option? Because Shang-Chi's Destin Daniel Cretton is still working on Shang-Chi, right?
He's working on Spider-Man right now.
He's working on Spider-Man right now. So,
he will work on the second Shang-Chi film.
I think a lot of these people are too busy, except for Blade, for the next movies. So it has to be Blade.
Yeah, I think if anything can come out in February 2026, it would have to be Blade. It's either going to be Blade or nothing, or they're going to give away that release window.
Also, Blade's a great Valentine's Day movie. Not in a joking manner. You know how Captain America: Brave New World's also coming out on Valentine's Day. It's like, yeah, like a little hero movie. Like, go see this movie on Valentine's Day with your loved ones. Like, Blade is a good Valentine's Day kind of movie.
Yeah, I could see that. There's other like movies from other studios that might have the Marvel name. Sony could release another Spider-Man movie sometime in the future. Beyond the Spider-Verse hopefully will come in 2026. I think it's gonna be 2027, really. But
I agree.
I like the idea of let's slate Blade for that. And if Blade doesn't make the February 2026 spot, I think it could come out in that November 2026 slot. I like the November 2026 slot for Doctor Strange 3. And I think they can do it. I think if they have a script they like, as long as they start shooting that this summer, how long does it take to write a film script?
Depends on who's writing it.
Depends on who's writing it, and it depends on what it needs to do for the studio.
Do we know anything about Doctor Strange 3 in that regard? Also, the article made it sound like even though they're in development with Doctor Strange 3, they're still like, oh, you can choose who you want to write and direct. Where do you want them to evolve? Where do you want the comics to go? So I'm like, oh, you guys know you want to do Doctor Strange 3, but you don't even know what the concept is yet. So I don't know how far along in Doctor Strange development they even are, in creative development.
All we really know is that how Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness ended, with Strange now having a third eye from his link to the Incursion universe, Doctor Strange, and then joining Clea into the Dark Dimension. And that's as far as we've gotten. The fact that Sam Raimi might return to direct. There was a draft of the Avengers 5, the Kang Dynasty script, that would have involved Doctor Strange a lot more, according to Benedict Cumberbatch. Pieces of that script could be repurposed. If you were to bring back, say, a Jeff Loveness or Mike Waldron to work with Sam Raimi again and write a script, that could be done in a couple months.
But then my fear would be like, is it good? I feel like, not in a bad way. I love Michael Waldron, but I do know there's people that did have their qualms with Multiverse of Madness with Michael Waldron and Sam Raimi. And it's like, do we want to recreate that again for another Doctor Strange movie? Don't we want to like try creatively going a little different way of it? Also, it feels like that Kang Dynasty script revolves so much around both the beef of Kang and Doctor Strange that I'm like, even taking pieces of it out, you're missing Kang. You're missing Kang. So I don't know how, like, they can't replace like another person for it. I don't know. I personally, I don't know. I would, the November, the 10-year anniversary part, yes, please play to that. I would love a Doctor Strange coming out November 2026, right before Secret Wars. So that way we're even more introduced to him in Secret Wars. But I just don't know how fast they could get that off the ground.
They would have to they'd have to be currently writing it.
Which they might be.
Then they might be. These writers could be, as we speak, in the Burbank lot, in that vault, with Kevin looking over their shoulder, both the robot and the guy at the ball cap. And what I mean is like taking elements from Kang Dynasty. Yeah. I'm not talking about script pages and dialogue, because I think all of that would have to be reconceived. What I'm talking about are like set pieces. Like they design, these matchups between this hero and this hero in this setting, and they draw all this art years in advance. And I think those set pieces, those chunks of storyboard art and concept art could be moved from one room to another room at Marvel Studios. I
hope it just wasn't like, it seems so cool that I don't want it to be a waste on like, not in a mean way. If they brought like America Chavez back and I'm like, this is lackluster for like this big of a set. I'm like, give me a big person for this set. It's because I don't want them to throw away those blocks. Those chunks are probably so gorgeous, what they probably created for Kang's Dynasty. But I'm like, I just don't want it to be lackluster. Don't use it in a bad way.
I think like the bigger pieces that take longer to design are these like complicated CGI battles, especially that involve a lot of like wizard sorcery. That stuff does take years to develop. In terms of just like ordering the plot together, that's something that could, like a screenplay can be written in a matter of months.
That's true.
If you have all the pieces confirmed and known and approved, you can jigsaw together a script. We know plenty of screenwriters in this industry who have and do that all the time. And if it's someone who's an insider, who's already been part of the project and has an inside look at everything and doesn't require all that kind of orientation, they could get it done. And I think it's possible. They would just have to start shooting like before the end of the year.
And that's also the thing. I don't think Benedict Cumberbatch has a busy schedule.
I don't know,
because it sounded like he was reserving the time to do Doomsday, and then they were like, never mind, we don't need you anymore. So I think he's free. He's not doing any stage plays. I know that his stage plays are very important. That's the reason why they had to move Doctor Strange in the first place, was because he wanted to do Hamlet. So I'm like, I think he's free. He could do it. It just matters It has to be Michael Waldron to pull it out that fast.
I think it's got to be Waldron or Loveness. I think Loveness after Quantumania basically just kind of like Peyton Reed just kind of wandered into the wilderness and is like, I need to clear my head.
Yeah.
And there are like social media posts of Loveness, right? Where he's like at a mountain lake.
Yes. With the letter, it says like Quantumania or something right on the water, the edge of the river water. That poor man. Y'all are,
he is one of the nicest guys in this industry. We love
so
him.
Bad for Jeff Loveness. I didn't even really like the movie, but I'm not going to attack this poor man. No. Also, him and Michael Waldron have the most information for this. Like it's one of the two. Yeah. It has to be one of the two. And I feel like Jeff Loveness is more free right now. So please, Jeff Loveness, come back from that river rock and come right there.
Some stuff could get moved around, but let's fill in this tentative February 2027 release date. So this would be the movie that comes out right before Secret Wars, the Captain Marvel to Endgame. You know how we had Infinity War, and then we had Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then we had March. Like a month before Endgame, we had Captain Marvel. So what could be the prelude to Avengers Secret Wars? I think a couple options. Shang Chi-2.
Yeah.
A Deadpool and Wolverine sequel, or Thor 5. Of those three, which do you think we need the most?
Well, the thing is, just because it's right before Avengers Secret Wars, like Ms. Marvel, it doesn't have to be anything to do. Like, it could be a prequel. It could be what was it that did it? I'm not saying it should be like Black Widow, but Black Widow had nothing to do with what we were about to go see. So I'm like, or what was in line for Marvel's plan. So this doesn't have to necessarily have the same. It doesn't have to affect Secret Wars. This could be like. After, could it be after Secret Wars?
There's a few different ways you could go about it. So if you could say that all these movies that come out before Secret Wars or in the midst of Doomsday and Secret Wars are kind of introducing or reintroducing characters who are going to matter in those events. They could be part of the 616 continuity, or as I pitched in the break room, you could have Blade in a Marvel Elseworld that through an incursion gets brought into Battle World, and that way you can liberate Blade to be his own thing.
And that's kind of what I want with Doctor Strange. That's why I was like, just bring him him and Clea, whatever they're doing, bring them up to the front lines for Secret Wars. We're ready for them in Secret Wars in their movie. That's why I don't think it can be Shang-Chi, because I'm like, so Shang-Chi wasn't affected by Doomsday, and then he's not. But you know what I'm saying? Like, if we put Shang-Chi there, I'm like, okay, what does he do?
It forces the Shang-Chi we know to both be the Shang-Chi from the 2021 movie and this multiversal warrior.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, I don't think it could be Shang-Chi.
I think it would really pigeonhole Shang-Chi to answer a lot of questions from that post-credit scene and just focus on that as the main plot of the movie, as opposed to any number of things that Shang-Chi could get into in a second film.
Also, I don't know. After Doomsday, Spider-Man 4 makes sense, because if he's connected to, if something happens in Doomsday that affects Peter Parker, that makes sense. Doctor Strange has everything to do with the multiverse right now, and then it'd be Shang-Chi right before Star Wars or Secret Wars. No, I don't think it's gonna be Shang-Chi. What was the other titles?
A Thor 5 or a Deadpool and Wolverine 2.
Oh.
Of those three, Shang-Chi coming out in a February slot makes sense.
Makes sense.
Oh, I also didn't mention Black Panther 3. Maybe Black Panther 3 comes out in February.
It could work.
Let's put that there.
That could work, because he is going to be free after this spring when Sinners comes out.
Yeah.
So if he starts writing, it doesn't take him that long, Ryan Coogler, to write scripts, but he's working with a lot of other people. It takes like a little bit longer. So
can I share with you my theory on like how they can make this all work with Black Panther? I talked about this in another video. We'll know if this part of it is bullshit in the next 2 weeks, but if all these Wakanda clues in the Brave New World stuff, Captain America 4, if these Wakanda clues ends with a post-credit scene that reveals a multiversal T'Challa arriving to Wakanda, and that is played by Aldous Hodge or some other new actor, or maybe they leave them masked, we could already introduce the idea of a recasted T'Challa from another universe just at the end of Brave New World, and that could be the focus of Black Panther 3, and that Ryan Coogler is telling that story.
That'd be so wild if the entire movie is like, yeah, we accept this guy. He just came out of nowhere.
Or maybe like Shuri or Okoye are there in Wakanda. They meet this guy who's not the brother they knew, who like Shuri grieved, but is just another guy from another dimension with like advanced adamantium tech along with the vibranium, and he's just like, I had a different but parallel story. And then we get to see that different and parallel story in Black Panther 3.
I just imagine they were going to vote someone in from Wakanda. I just assumed it was gonna I just assumed Shuri was gonna be like, I don't really want the mantle. The baby is too young. Okoye has already left. What's his name is now like the king of Wakanda. M'Baku. I almost called him Winston C. Duke because I always will.
He is
M'Baku. Yeah, he is Winston C. Duke. But is it M'Baku? And I thought like the Black Panther mantle would just go to like whoever they in the like village think should go to, and it would just be another member that we just haven't met yet. I don't know which one I like more. I like the idea of a new one coming in and then that being the movie of like accepting it. Feels a little bit like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
But is the conversation more about like whether we don't want to recast T'Challa?
We can talk about that. I was saying would that be like, is Marvel Studios, would that be too much of an overshadowing twist for the story they're telling with Red Hulk and Sam Wilson and the leader to have as a post-credit scene?
100%.
That would dominate the headlines. No one would be talking about Anthony Mackie or Harrison Ford.
I'm not going to be talking about that.
We'd be talking about, holy shit, a new T'Challa?
I'm going to be talking about the new T'Challa.
So 100%. Maybe that doesn't happen at the end of Brave New World, but I still think any of these other movies, even in Avengers Doomsday or in Fantastic Four First Steps, we could tease like a new T'Challa from another dimension who ends up being the focal character, because it's not going to be called Black Panther 3. It's going to be called Black Panther something else. It was Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and Ryan Coogler can tell any story about any Wakandan he wants, and from any universe he wants for that story, as long as it like most accurately reflects like the journey and the story he wants to explore.
100%. There might be some secrets also in Eyes of Wakanda. If there was like some book that says like, if it's no one in this family, it has to be this person from this cousin side, and you'll be like, wait, what? What does that mean? And then it's Aldous Hodge, which I would not mind. That man is gorgeous.
He's great.
I
think he'd be a great option.
I think he'd be perfect. But Black Panther for February 2027. That
seems to make sense.
That sounds.
So we're kind of half committing to this possible road to Secret Wars that fills in the 3 spots with Blade, Doctor Strange 3, and Black Panther 3. If that is the case, where does that leave Shang Chi-2? Does that mean Shang-Chi will only just appear in like Doomsday or Secret Wars as like a co-star and then won't get his other movie until after Secret Wars?
I think he's not going to get his movie until after Secret Wars, unfortunately. But also, Spider-Man's coming out in 2026. So Destin Daniel Cretton's busy with that, right?
Yeah.
And then after Spider-Man's done, he can put his full attention to Shang-Chi. That's why I'm like, it has to come after Secret Wars. And honestly, I think that's for the best, because it's going to be so hard to ramp him up for Secret Wars. Let's come back and see what it is after Secret Wars. And then maybe if they do want to get into like a real mutant saga, they don't have to make him a mutant, but we can see him really working with a bunch of different mutants.
Yeah, that's why I think like it wouldn't surprise me if in 2027 they don't have another summer release and let Secret Wars dominate the summer, 100. And then instead just make that November 5th 2027 release Shang-Chi 2.
I can see that.
So I'm gonna
that's such a busy, that would I think it's gonna come out not in 2027, but I do think if they do 2027 for Shang-Chi, that's going to be such a busy year for them.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking like in 2026, like Doomsday right now is the only Marvel Disney one that summer. Spider-Man 4 is coming out in 2026, but that's a Sony production. So Marvel and Disney doesn't have to worry about that as much. So they, in their minds, all their box office that they exclusively are going to get is coming from Doomsday. And that's going to be even more the case for Secret Wars. I would be shocked. I mean, in 2019, Endgame was the only movie that Marvel Disney had. Spider-Man Far From Home came out, but again, a Sony production. A different studio is shouldering that burden.
Technically, they could also put Shang-Chi, replace Black Panther and Shang-Chi. They could do that. There is a possibility
to where
for that.
Shang-Chi could go in the February 2027 slot, and then Black Panther could be in the November 2027 slot.
Yeah, and that way we touch on Black Panther 3 after Secret War. Well, that would just mean that he's not going to show up in Secret Wars.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a question: who is Marvel more okay sidelining for Doomsday and Secret Wars, Shang-Chi or a new Black Panther?
They can't hide Shang-Chi. How long has it been since the first one?
Oh, I think. Well, by sidelining, I don't mean leaving them out completely. I mean,
but it
like
wouldn't be
letting them appear in the movie, but not having their own anchor movie 100%. To go back to beforehand.
Or even just appearing in the movie, but not being as like big, as like
it'd be a cameo as opposed to like, hey, you just saw them in the movie,
and we are preparing him. I assumed we were preparing him to be like a little bit more on the front lines.
Yeah.
So that's why I assumed he'd be like in that shot, like we got Endgame. He'd be on that he'd be right lined up with Captain America. America. So that's why I'm like, no, he needs to be in the front. A new Black Panther can wait.
So,
because also doesn't Black Panther have to touch on? Do they have to touch on Namor?
Oh yeah, I don't know if Namor comes back for Black Panther. For the next Black
poor
Panther.
Ryan Coogler. He's got so much to write.
He's got a lot to work on. Yeah.
He's got so much to work on and write. Yeah. He'll do it. He got it.
So we're really looking at the future now for 2028, and we don't know anything. If you're looking at summer 2028, that May 2028 slot, that could be where Secret Wars shifts back to if all this gets behind. That, honestly, I feel like is the 60% likeliest scenario of how this all works out, given Marvel's track record. But what is Marvel's next big tentpole release after Secret Wars? Is it Avengers versus X-Men? Is it just X-Men? Is it just Marvel Studios X-Men? And we're now in the mutant saga at that point.
You think they're going to jump that quick? Like after Secret
to.
Wars ends, it just closes the book, and then we are like, mutants are here.
Yes, I think Marvel has to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think they can afford to wait any longer to have like their own MCU mutants stories.
Okay.
It's been so long.
Also, we kind of know them. I think I only need it for the ones that I don't know at this point. Like if you grab a crazy random one from the comics, because Fox has touched on a lot of them, then I will want a backstory. Otherwise, I think you can give me Jean Grey, and I know what she does.
And then if they do a Deadpool and Wolverine 2, maybe that can come out in the February 2028 slot. I mean, the first Deadpool came out in February 2016. Deadpool does work as like a Valentine's Day movie. I think there were various versions of this where Deadpool 3 was going to come out in Valentine's Day, unless I'm mistaken. Yeah, I think you could have a 2028 with the Deadpool sequel and another like Marvel Studios X-Men. Yeah. And then that could be the year of the mutant saga 100%. Starting.
I think 2028, 4 years from now. I think that's enough time. It's more so Ryan Reynolds is riding that coast of just having all that money now from the movie that I'm like, oh, I think he's going to just show up in a lot of cameo appearances. Does he want to work on another one at that soon?
Especially if Justin Baldoni's going to get a cut.
Yeah, if he gets $400 million. Does he get? Oh, damn! If I got half of Wolverine and Deadpool, ooh.
Can you imagine?
You wouldn't see me ever again. I'd be gone.
Yeah.
They'd be like, where's Jessica?
You'd have an island. Yeah. Jessica's on her island.
An island with a cannon, and no one would ever see me. And that's how I deliver things. That's how I get my letters out. No one ever see me again.
So now this kind of leaves the question of Thor 5. Do we never see Thor 5? Are we?
When did the conversation also I feel like every time I bring up Thor 5, I get angry. So when did the conversation come up that they were doing another Thor movie?
It's just the fact that Hercules is in that post-credit scene.
Yeah. We haven't seen Harry Styles. We haven't seen other post-credit scenes since.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't see. Okay, first off, and I love that man from Ted Lasso. Don't get me wrong. I don't need a Thor 5 anytime soon, dude. I'm so sorry. What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
We've covered a lot of ground with Thor. He still remains like a very important character to the franchise. I think we could tell a lot of his story in Doomsday and Secret Wars. I don't know if we need...
What story? Not in a mean way. A new story. A new story. Okay, that's it.
Well,
okay,
he's crying in Deadpool.
We need to know why he's crying. Yes. I was like, I know his story. I know everything about this man. I know at this point, his social security number. I'm like, I don't need a Thor 5. But also, if it doesn't take a lot of money and it doesn't take a lot of time and he really wants to do it, go ahead. Go at him. I think it will take a lot of money and a lot of time. It's gonna.
So here's a question. We talked a lot about like movies we know are coming. Should we talk about movies that like we've gotten indicators might not get sequels? So Eternals and the Marvels, we don't think we'll have sequels, right?
I don't think at this point. And then eventually, not to be this person, eventually it'll be just too long. And Eternals, it's like, how are we going to come back to this? Unless they just redo Eternals in like 20 years.
So will Marvel never answer those questions from the end of Eternals? Will we never see Harry Styles as Star Fox again?
I don't think we will. And also it's like, because no one's going to put him in a cameo as something, because no one knows who Star Fox is unless you read the comics. So it's
or watch New Rockstars.
Oh, yeah.
Don't they like...
Because it's like,
will this be the first time Marvel really lets the storyline just completely dissipate?
No one... Not in a... Again, why am I keep saying not again, you guys. I haven't been on Sneak Peek in a long time, so excuse my meanness. But I'm like, we haven't had any questions about the Eternals. We've only had questions about Tiamat. And it looks like they're answering it in Brave New World. So I'm like, I personally don't really need any more. But I don't think Marvel wants they want to dip their hands in it anytime soon.
I mean, a lot of people are wondering what is happening with Cersei on trial with Arishem. Like Cersei and Kingo and Phastos got swept away somewhere to be put on trial by the Celestials. And what happened with that?
I'm more curious about like what Hercules is doing in Thor 5 than I am about that.
I guess I am too.
But I get it. Like I think it's crazy for them to just drop it off. But in 2028, it's not coming out. I don't think it's coming out in 2029. Because we're getting into the mutant saga. Right. So it's like the deeper we get into the mutants, maybe they can connect that back to Eternals and be like, oh, they created this and this and this and this. But then it's like another movie for that? I don't know about a full theatrical release movie for that.
You could have like an Age of Apocalypse movie that is like an actual like good Insabaner story that connects back to the Egyptian era where the Eternals might have been active, but that wouldn't follow up on what Cersei's doing now. No. It was just kind of like, hey, Cersei, you were there in ancient Egypt. Why didn't you do anything to stop Insabaner?
I feel like I just want to cover my own bases really quick. I love every actor in Eternals. That movie was not my cup of tea. You don't like every actor?
I'm not going to name names, but there's at least 2 of those actors who were miscast in those roles.
Well, no, they can be miscast. I'm saying I like the actors.
Oh,
I didn't say I didn't like the movie
them
at
in
all.
This movie.
I didn't like the movie.
But also, there's like at least one of them. Who
do you think is a miscast
I'm not going to
actor?
say.
No, say it. It's not bad to be like they were miscast.
I'm not going to say because I also haven't seen that actor in anything else, so I don't know if they're good or not. They were just
Angelina Jolie.
Who is? I very much like Angelina Jolie. But if you keep doing this, you're going to start naming off all 10 of them. And at one of them, I'm going to be real quiet. And so I'm going to stop this in its tracks right now. But I think you guys probably feel the same way. So don't get mad at me for not liking one of the Eternals or
Kumail?
2 of the Eternals. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say anymore. I'm not going to say anymore.
There's a lot of people in Eternals, so there's a lot of options.
I'm not going to say Dane Whitman. Dane Whitman doesn't count. He's not.
I was about to say, is it Dane Whitman?
Is it Harry Styles? He's technically an Eternal.
Is it Patton Oswalt? Technically, he's not an Eternal, but he's a Pip. He is a Pip. I think he did a great job as Pip.
I think everyone in this movie did the best they could.
I agree with that. I just didn't like the movie, and I think that's fine.
Yep. So we've just kind of recap. On the road to Secret Wars, we have suggested that Blade could come out in February 2026. Then Doomsday in May 2026, Spider-Man 4 in July 2026, and then in November 2026, Doctor Strange 3, followed by in February 2027, Black Panther 3. There's a chance that all of those titles get pushed back.
100%.
So that Blade could come out in November 2026, and then February is either Doctor Strange or Black Panther or Shang-Chi, and that the other one is on the other side of Secret Wars. And I think of those 3, Black Panther 3, whatever new story they want to tell, has the best chance of success, more so than Doctor Strange, I think. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness did so well, and it did very well for the studio, on the promise of Multiverse of Madness. It was the Scarlet Witch of it all. It was the Illuminati of it all. It was the Charles
100.
Xavier promise. And just another Doctor Strange movie that is trying to be more like the Scott Derrickson one, I don't think is $1 billion guarantee. Whereas Black Panther can be $1 billion guarantee.
100%. And Black Panther has an audience. Like, it has like their own cult. I think Doctor Strange has his own cult. I don't know if his movies like that have its own cult. I think that was a good observation of being like, yeah, people did see it for Scarlet Witch and for the Illuminati and all of those, like, whoa, they did this, they brought this person in. If I didn't even like recognize, like, oh yeah, this is a Doctor Strange movie, this is his second movie, so his third one.
I mean, Doctor Strange also benefited from having Spider-Man No Way Home 4 months earlier. That was a huge movie, and Doctor Strange was a huge part of it. So, like, that kind of elevated his stature. I don't know if a third Doctor Strange movie based off of how he is currently known in the MCU, it's kind of like a missing person, will do as well.
As a missing person. Unless he's bringing in, like, the Midnight Suns and doing that weird stuff.
Well, now we're getting to some fun territory. Can we put Midnight Suns somewhere on here? Let's do that as an October 2028 release. I'm changing it.
2028.
Let's do Midnight Suns.
They should be coming.
All right, and then I'm gonna say in May we'll make that X-Men, Marvel Studios X-Men, and then in February of 2028 we'll do, what do we want to say, Deadpool.
There you go.
And Wolverine and Gambit.
Oh yeah, the trifecta.
Yeah. There we go.
There you go. Midnight Suns. They
think
could be starting something like that. Or, well, I don't know if they're going to. I don't know. Doctor Strange 3, because that's the third. You got to hit, like, big with that one. And I don't know if the Midnight Suns is that. I personally love the Midnight Suns. I think it's that big. But I'm like, I don't think it's that big for everybody to, like, be like, this is what we're introducing in Doctor Strange 3. Moon Knight again. I'm gonna be like, yes.
Yeah. Does it put? I think if Doctor Strange 3 gets pushed to the other side of the Secret Wars, just turn that into a Midnight Suns movie. Now, I've made the argument before that Blade, you could just save Blade by turning it into a Blade Midnight. I think if they're gonna do that, then it might be too soon because there'd be too many actors to get on the call sheet by the end
Blade?
of this year for Blade, and we would have heard about it. We would have heard about they're casting this guy for Ghost Rider, you know?
And no one trusts Blade's production right now. I think those actors are like, you know what? I'm not auditioning for this. I don't know what's going to happen.
With Blade, we just need to have a director who the studio trusts, who can just make a good version of that, someone who can work with Mahershala Ali and fit his demands for this project and just get that movie shot in 6 weeks and just get it out in the world.
I'm watching it.
Have some good vampire slaying stunts. Just make it a good get the John Wick team in here and just make a good, get Wesley Snipes to be your stunt coordinator for it. Like, whatever it takes, just have a good stunt forward movie.
100.
It doesn't need to build the world that much.
Yeah, 100%. We're all seeing Blade anyways for Blade.
We'll see it.
We'll see it. It's Blade. And at least in Midnight Suns, they can start bringing in some mutants or some X-Men characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so after we're in the Mutant Saga, do we ever see some of these Infinity Saga Avengers again? I think after we get to Marvel Studios X-Men, I don't need to see Thor again. At least for a while.
Give me a different example than Thor. Because
Hulk.
I said no. Oh, yeah. I guess.
We don't have a Hulk movie anywhere on this list.
We don't have. I think, and also, there's another, where's the sun at?
Scar. It's Supercuts.
Yeah, Supercuts.
What can you do?
What is he? A little off the top.
But he won't let them shave the whole thing.
Yeah, no.
I need that back hair.
No, that part stinks.
It gets cold. I gotta expose brain back there.
Dad, tell her to stop. Bruce is too busy with his kid. Don't know where that is. I don't think Bruce Banner's doing anything anytime soon.
Unless he shows up in Cap 4 in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, Bruce Banner might. For a minute off world because he's on Sakaar, right?
Is secretly no, he's back on Earth. He's eating barbecues.
I thought he was going back
in LA with Scar. He's with Jen Walters.
They ate the entire meal. They ate everything at that table and immediately promptly left.
I like this slate that we've put together. I think it makes sense to me. I'm proud of it. And Marvel, just take it and make this happen. Spend, a couple $1 billion on just giving us these.
These things are going to be pushed for sure.
All these are going to be pushed. And maybe we get half of them.
Including Secret Wars.
I think there's a world, I hate to say it, I think there's a world where we never see a Shang Chi-2. Or if we do, it's going to be another 6 years from now.
I think what keeps Shang Chi-2 very much alive is Destin Daniel Cretton and Simu Liu. I'm like, as long as the people that really like working on that project want to really work on it, I think we're going to get it. And I want it. But I know that Destin Daniel Cretton and Simu Liu really want it.
I think we're also going to see some shift in strategy after Superman comes out.
100%.
Summer. Because if that movie just skyrockets to $1 billion and dominates the summer, or at least keeps up with Fantastic Four First Steps, you're going to see Marvel Studios just naturally adapt their release strategy to not necessarily be competitive, but I think when these superhero movies come out, they set the standard of what audiences want from this genre. Mm-hmm. And Marvel Studios did that. Marvel Studios muscled out the Fox franchise X-Men and Fantastic Four movies. It muscled out basically the Spumsy and the Sony approach. It muscled out like the Sony approach with the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Say, well, you can only do Spider-Man in our type of cinematic universe. But if Superman can change that narrative and say, like, you know what? No, interconnectivity is not that important. You just need to have one amazing film per year that rallies everyone and ends the conversation, not like one that makes a tease for the future. It's not about the interconnectivity. It's about capturing 2 hours of someone's time and not making them think about what's coming next, but what's happening right now. And if Superman can change that, if James Gunn can do that with Superman, I think you might see executives at Marvel Studios be like, okay, well, how do we do that?
Executives at Marvels will be like, how can we do that? And Disney will be like, what did I say? I said, put out another movie. I said, put it out.
Put Snow White in it.
Yes, get the princesses involved. And I would be front row for Deadpool Wolverine if Cinderella's in it.
It's going to be an exciting year to just look at how these two studios of Warner Brothers and Disney each now try to outmaneuver each other, you know?
And then Sony's just there.
Sony's figuring it out.
Sony's kicking. Sony's still kicking. They're still alive, twitching there.
But then you know what's going to happen? 2026 or 2027, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse is going to come out and be amazing.
And that's what they're going to do. They're going to be like, now you guys don't even remember anything else we did.
Pay no attention to Craven.
You see that over there? Don't look at it. It's Madam Web.
Oh my God.
That's going to be great. That's Sony. That's the thing. DC, Marvel, we're like trying to figure out each other. Like, let's do this. Sony's like, in our back pocket, it's gonna come out. I promise. It's gonna, and then it's gonna win an Academy Award. What are they gonna do after Spider-Verse?
After Spider-Verse, I have no idea. I really think they need to take a break. What I think they should do is like bring back Andrew Garfield and keep making alternate universe Spider-Man stories again with Andrew Garfield.
They could redo like Austin Powers. I think that would be very fun for them.
Sony's going to keep making Ghostbusters movies.
Oh yeah, they do have the Ghostbusters.
That's like their second biggest franchise.
Okay.
Jumanji movies.
I think those are done.
Those Now You 3 Me movies. Those are all. I think it's Sony. Right?
Oh, the Magic
movies. Me? Yeah.
Oh, and I love those movies.
Yeah.
Never mind.
They're doing fine.
I forgot. Okay, and they have Ghostbusters. I forgot completely that they had Ghostbusters.
They make pretty good money.
They're fine
from these other ones. All right. Well, comment down below what you want your ideal Marvel movie slate to look like over the next 3 years. And let's look ahead to coming up this week on New Rockstars. So we are in the midst now of our Daredevil Road to Born Again rewatch series. Our 2 hour and 40-something minute breakdown is currently on the channel. I did not expect for it to be that long, but it is a treat. It is a feast of a video. And if that is too long for you, watch it on double speed. And if that's still too long for you, don't worry.
No.
We'll have a nice condensed primer of everything you need to know before you watch Daredevil Born Again coming out later this month. Or later in February ahead of Daredevil Born Again. We're also going to do a similar video for Captain America Brave New World because we started to do some research ahead of that and we're like, wait, there's like 11 different Marvel movies that are like required watching before Brave New World and no one's going to have time to do all that. So we're going to do like kind of a timeline recap for everything you need to know going into Brave New World. That one will be coming out, I think, in the next week or so.
Are you gonna? Do you have to include the first Hulk? The 2000, not first, but the 2000.
The 2008 Hulk, yeah, because like both the leader and Thaddeus Ross come back from that. If like Liv Tyler is in this movie, as Betty Ross,
I guess
she
you got
was
it.
there. Yeah, it's very important, the Super Soldier program and all of that stuff. So that's coming out. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man first 2 episodes come to Disney Plus on January 29th, and we'll be breaking down those on the New Rockstars channel. We have been covering Severance on Apple TV Plus. Episode 2, our breakdown is currently on the channel. We don't know if we're going to break down episode 3. We got a lot of stuff that we're focusing on, but I'd like to, and I'm going to keep watching that show, and we'll keep talking about it on the break room at least. We probably will do breakdowns of it. And you may have seen this last Friday, but we have a new format, a new podcast show that we're doing here on New Rockstars called The Rumor Rundown. And that's just kind of a corner where it's going to be me and Brandon and Jess and Gina and others from the New Rockstars community who are just going to be going through the craziest scoops and rumors that have come out that week and calling bullshit on the ones that deserve it and adding some additional context for the ones that we are actually curious about. And I think we need somewhere on YouTube to just kind of compile all these rumors every week and just inform the viewer on how these scoops and rumors are sourced and where they come from and how much we can really believe them. So I think that'll be a fun new show. Episode 2 of it will come out this week, I think. If not this week, next week. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
All right, let's end with what we're watching.
I can't turn around because this tree. Kill all trees. Kill
That's
all
what the
trees.
Santa Ana Winds are trying to do.
Oh my God. They're trying to kill me. They're trying to kill us. The Santa Ana Winds have been trying to kill everybody.
Oscar announcements were announced this week. Did you watch any of those?
Yeah, we've watched a lot of those. And I don't know.
You don't like any of them?
No, I love them. Actually, no, that's the problem. I love some, and by love 3, and I like a lot of others. and none of them wowed me except for maybe because that's the thing. Wicked, I expected it to. And it did. It delivered. Anora, I expected it to, and it delivered. The Substance is my it's a thriller. I'm already in seated for it. But when I for example, Everything Everywhere All at Once, I was not expecting that when I went and saw that movie. And then I was like, this changed my view on a lot of things cinematically. And then when it won Best Picture, I was like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. I was rooting from day one for all those cast members in that movie, except for Jamie Lee Curtis. You're not gonna catch me slipping. Oh god. And so that's what I do when I'm like for the Academy Awards. And so I was like, yes, this is what I want. This year, not that same feeling at all.
That's fair.
But I mean, yeah, I'm rooting for Wicked, of course.
I'm so far behind on all of them. I've watched Wicked. I've watched Nosferatu. I've watched Dune Part 2. But a lot of these other prestige films, I gotta catch up.
You didn't
on
watch Anora?
I haven't seen Anora. I have a screener for Anora, and Conclave I can watch on Peacock. And I haven't seen that yet.
I will say, to be fair, the amount of work we're doing at New Rockstars and all the things we have to watch kind of intervene with when we do get that breather, we're like, oh, let's watch reality TV. Let's watch something that's like completely out of what we can't see.
I need to unplug. And but these would be good Friday night, Saturday night movies to watch.
Sometimes, that's the hard part is emotionally. Sometimes you got to be prepared for these movies because these are all very sad movies. So you're like, oh, emotionally, I also have to be in the same good headspace to prepare to watch Wild Robot.
Yeah. Oh God, I got to watch the animated ones too. I got to see Flow. I got to see Wild Robot.
You've at least seen Inside Out.
Oh, of course, seen Inside Out too. Loved it. So there's just so much. I think at the top of my list is Conclave, followed by Substance. I've seen Nosferatu.
And the Wild Robot.
And I'll check out Wild Robot.
I'll
watch all these things eventually. I mean, it took me forever to watch The Zone of Interest.
Oh God.
And that blew my mind. That movie was so good.
Yeah, that's my mom's favorite movie. She still to this day will be like, I rewatched it. Let me explain this part to you. And I'm like, okay, come talk to Erik. Come get on the breakdown right now.
Get her on the show. I rewatched this scene from Anatomy of a Fall, talking about other movies from last year, and I'm like, damn, that movie was also perfect.
Those were the movies, though. Those were the movies
great.
Because I was like, Zone of Interest.
So none of the ones this year are as good as
No.
That's a bummer.
That's what it feels like for me, at least. Because I was like, those ones, I was like, I'm scared for these movies. Because this year, these movies were really good. What was the Martin Scorsese...
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Killers of the Flower Moon. I was, yes, these are what I'm asking for. This year, I'm like,
Yeah,
to be fair, I haven't seen Conclave.
I want to see Conclave.
I haven't seen Conclave, though. I've only seen, The Brutalist, Anora, and the other ones. The Substance, Wicked, Sing Sing. That's it.
Okay. I need to check out these movies. But let me know in the comments below which one I should start with, because I'll get to all of them eventually. But
I think you should start with a fun one versus the Conclave.
I want to start with The Substance then.
Yeah, dude, The Substance is...
That just seems like such a wacky, crazy movie.
It's so fun. And people are like, it's extreme body horror, don't be... And I'm like, the body horror part is like, your bones and stuff, but you'll be fine.
All right.
It's so good.
All right, I can deal with some body horror.
It's so fun. It's so fun. I love it. I listen to the "You Gotta Pump It Up, Don't You Know" pump that song. I listen to it on the way here. I can't wait till you watch it.
All right, I'll check it out. All right, well, this has been a great episode of the Sneak Peek. I feel like we did a proper sneak peek into the future, and that's what every episode of this should be. So Jess, welcome back. Glad to have you back.
I'm glad to be back. Anytime you guys need me to talk trash about Eternals. No, I'm joking. I'm never going to talk trash about Eternals like that ever again.
We got to bring back Trash or Smash. Remember how we did Trash or Smash with what was
we
the
did
context?
with shows?
We were looking ahead and whether Brad Winderbaum thought some of these upcoming Marvel Disney Plus shows were Trash or Smash.
That is fun.
And I don't know what that means. Trash or smash. We want to smash it.
I think it's you want to keep it. Trash, get it out of here.
Yeah, trash, take it out.
Take that out of here.
Trash or Smash. All right, we got Scoop or Poop coming out on Rumor Rundown.
Damn, we are really good with these names. We are Dr. Seuss. Damn.
Comment down below with your thoughts on all this stuff and what you're watching right now. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Sneak Peek. Bye, everybody.